Had to clear the pipes there for a moment. I slept with the window open last night, and I've got a little bit of it's not debilitating congestion, but it is something that I felt needed to be cleared out before we started the rant in earnest. Welcome, everybody. I am Pugs Moran. We are the Rant. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, around about 12 o'clock, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. It's current events talk. It's hot topics. Whatever it is that's making headlines, that's got people buzzing. If people are talking about it, I will give it to you here every day at noon. I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you why people are buzzing about it. And then I'll give you a quick little, hot take on whatever it is that people are talking about. Then we move on. The show is designed so that you just get a little bit of knowledge about everything people are talking about today. Nobody who listens to the rant, none of you normies, as we are proud to describe one another as. If this was a call-in radio show, we would do a thing where every time a regular would call, we would play the cut from Cheers. Norm! That's what we would do if this was a talk radio show. But it's not, sadly, because this kind of talk radio doesn't exist in American terrestrial radio these days. If you're driving down the highway, flipping around your AM dial, looking for a little community conversation, all you're going to get is partisan bullshit. Or sports. You'll get sports. Or, depending on where you are in the country, some religion, some Jesus. Wasn't always the case. Partisan political talk wasn't the only option in talk radio for about the first, 70 years of its existence, maybe. So that's what we try to do here each and every day. I, Pugs Moran, perform this as a stream of consciousness, not by desire, but more by design. A stream of consciousness means no breaks, no stops. I don't get to pose a question to somebody and thoughtfully wait as they give an answer. No, it's just me talking. Whatever thought is next in my brain, it comes out. No governor, no filter. It's a stream of consciousness. Oh, in this day and age, hashtag cancel everyone. You might think that that's something that I'd be concerned about. Well, I'm not. You know why? Because I'm not afraid of what my next thought is, even if I don't know it. And you want to know why? Because I'm not an asshole, okay? I'm not an asshole. There's very little chance that I'm going to say something that will intentionally hurt people or somehow, be dickish. That's not what I'm doing here. I do get mad, and I will rant. This is a rant. It's a nonstop stream of consciousness rant, so I lose my shit, as some of you know, but it's never done to be intentionally cruel. Let's say hi to our chat room people here in early. We got Jeffy, we got Pete, we got Jen, we got Jen. Whoa, Jen is really having a conversation there in the chat room. Who was first? That's what I like to know. Who was first? Who was the first person that I saw? First person I saw was Sports Bras. There you go. Then I saw Peter, then I saw KB. Geez, look what I just did. I just screwed up the picture again, the window. There we go. Okay, so here's what needs to be mentioned right at the top. Yesterday, because of the election was on Tuesday. I kind of threw a crimp into the week, and I felt like, man, this is going to fuck up Pledge Week. We were doing Pledge Week. We do this show but totally free, but we like to get tipped. Treat me like your bartender, treat me like I'm your, whatever is what I always say. So once a week, we really push hard, and we're like, come on, Jesus, whatever, send whatever you can, drop it in the Cash App, drop it in the Venmo. We're in the middle of that right now, that Pledge Week where we push. And I sort of suspended it for like a day or so because of the election, because I knew that I wanted yesterday's show to be sort of non-traditional and blah, blah, blah. So we extended the Pledge Week to today. We had intended to have it end on Wednesday, but we extended it to today. And nope, cancel it. Cancel Pledge Week's extension day. We don't need it. That's right. We don't need it. We made it. We're good. Thank you, folks. Thank you for supporting nonpartisan, lifestyle, narcissistic talk radio. Thank you so much for that. We do have executive producers, though, that we do want to thank. We've got 2 executive producers. That's right. We're going to make somebody share this one, and that's because we know that they're cool enough to accept it. But our executive producers, the people who really just slam dunked us across the finish line in a way that I did not expect. How about CC and Tiffany? CC and Tiffany are responsible for the entire next month's shows. That's not true. That's not true. Thank you to Peter. Thank you to April. Thank you to Christina. Thank you to everybody who I mentioned on the scroll the last couple of days. Thank you so much. A lot of people helped. Most, a whole bunch of you got us there. And then when I was thinking it was the darkest, got a couple of nice tips. But I said, you know what? We're there. So no more of that. No more pledge drives. We're going to lay back now for a while, and we're just going to enjoy talk radio the way it should be. Thank you for getting us there, you guys. We did it. Now here we come up on Christmas. it'll be a rough one, but we are here. I have at least 3 weeks now where I can relax, where I can just be like, okay, I don't have to be a fucking shaking my tin cup evangelizing. All right, so thank you so much, everybody. You see Tiffany L and CC in the chat room. You make sure you give them a big cyber hug, okay? And everybody, not just them. Thank you to them, because and I was surprised when I saw this, got me across the finish line. So thank you to them. But thank you to everybody. I mean, it wasn't just them. They alone didn't get us to where we needed to go. But thank you. Thank you so much. CC and Tiffany are the executive producers of today's show. All right, the show runs on 4 little segments, right? So that's how you gauge where we are in the show. Segment 1, we call that Antecedently on This Day. Nope. Sorry, that's an artist from Lubbock. I can't talk to him right now. Unless we want to do an interview. I don't think that's what this show's about. First quarter, the first segment in the show is called Antecedently on This Day. It's this day in history. I look at all the events from this day in history, and we riff on them a little bit. Not all of them, just the ones that I'm interested in. Quarter 2 is birthdays. Celebrities having a birthday on this day. We talk about them. We really just decide whether we think they're cool, in which case we'll be like, happy birthday, dude. Or we think that person sucks. Screw them. Quarter 3 is deads. These are people who died, the opposite of the birthdays, people who died on this day, celebrities, historical figures. We take a look at them. We open up their resumes, and we decide where'd they go. Did they ascend towards heaven and eternal peace, or did we damn them to the fiery blazes of Hades? I don't know, whatever. Heaven or hell. That's what we call quarter 3. Where'd they go? They died on this day. Where do you think they went? That brings us to quarter 4. That's the hot topics, the current events, the headlines, all the things that are making news today. One of the tenets of this show is that we are not politically partisan, in that I, as your host, I want to vomit just thinking about it. I don't enjoy talking about politics and partisan politics, but unfortunately, we're a current events-driven show. And here in America, we just had an election. So there is a lot of the hot topics that we're going to be running through today that are going to dip a toe in the world of politics. So bear with me. I know that my red hat friends in the chat room, and I know that my libtard friends in the chat room, I know that they can all get along, because that's what this show is designed for. This show is not designed for the 15% on the right who are lost and can never be helped. This show is not for the 15% on the left who are lost and can never be helped. The show is for the 70% in the middle, the normies. Norm! So if you'll indulge me, let's get started. Oh, first though, hold on. What's going on? Flag is cool looking. Oh, Peter has noticed we got a new flag today. Yeah, there's a couple of different choices. I'm going to mix it up from time to time, but we will always be flying Old Glory in all of her grace and majesty. That's right. Peter says appreciates the clean video because there's no ring thing. We can have a ring thing if you want the ring thing. Yeah, I know. I just decided that light isn't really needed, and I kind of like this mood. Got some really cool new lighting that I enjoy. All right, let's get started with today's show. That's enough out of you, chat room. You're distracting me. Let's get started. It is The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E Gallery in Dallas's Design District. We are Radio Misfits Dallas, a proud partner of RadioMisfits.com. Let's do quarter one, antecedently on this day, all the things that have happened on this particular day in history, and let's see if we care about any of them. Antecedently on this day, year of our Lord, 1837, going all the way back to 1837. This is a cool story. This is another one of them dudes. One of them dudes. There are a whole bunch of them dudes in the history of this great country, and a lot of them we don't know about. We lost one recently. I always tell you, Chris Christopherson, he passed recently. He's one of them dudes. Who's the other one we lost? We lost another one like a couple of weeks ago. Who's one of them dudes? Can't remember who that was. This is one of them dudes. On this day in 1837, Elijah Lovejoy is shot dead by a mob while attempting to protect his printing press from being destroyed for a third time. Who was Elijah Lovejoy? Elijah Lovejoy was a publisher. He wrote a newspaper in St. Louis, Missouri. Big newspaper. He was one of the main publishers in this country. And Elijah Lovejoy took the brave position in 1837 as the publisher of the St. Louis whatever. Took the position of being against slavery. I don't know. He was just a man of God, and he just kind of thought, I don't think Jesus, the one that I study, I don't think Jesus would be okay with this. Maybe we should get rid of slavery. Oh, and they went nuts. So if you're unfamiliar with that part of America, St. Louis and Illinois are like the suburbs of St. Louis are in Illinois. Like, you understand, St. Louis is on the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River, one side is Illinois and the other side is St. Louis. My son's mother, as a matter of fact, grew up in this town, Alton, Illinois, which is why I know so much about their most favored son, Elijah Lovejoy. Although that's a bit of a debate. A lot of people in Alton, Illinois would say, well, Elijah Lovejoy is a great historical figure and he did some great stuff, but we're most proud of Miles Davis. Miles Davis is the other one from Alton. But Lovejoy, after being run out of St. Louis, built a printing press across the river, like 50 feet across. He went across the river to the Illinois side in Alton, Illinois, and he built a printing press there, and he continued to print his abolitionist paper and distributing it in the St. Louis area. And the people from St. Louis came across the Mississippi River into Alton, Illinois, murdered Elijah Lovejoy for printing that black people should be free, and burned his printing press. Today, there's a giant statue in Alton to the great Elijah P. Lovejoy, a man that I think history has forgotten, but not down there. Not down there in Alton, Illinois. Alton, Illinois is a really cool-ass little town, man. Like, you've never heard of it. And I grew up in Illinois. I had never heard of it until I ended up marrying a girl who grew up there. Alton, Illinois has, I already told you, like, they got Elijah Lovejoy in this great moment from, anti-slavery history. They've got that. But then they also got Miles Davis, which is super cool. That's like cool. You're a little rural town in southern Illinois on the banks of the Mississippi River, and you're like, yeah, we got Miles Davis. But they also, what else did also? Oh, they also had a Lincoln-Douglas debate. The famous Lincoln-Douglas debate? Alton, Illinois, right there on the river. And now when you go there, they got like the whole stage where Lincoln and Douglas debated. They got they got statues to both men. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Also, another fun fact about Alton, Illinois, which is why I think it's one of America's hidden treasures. It's also a beautiful city. It's a little beautiful town built into the side of the cliffs. Everything overlooks the Mississippi River. You can see the arch right across the river, the big white arch. You got all the beauty of St. Louis without any of the nonsense. Also home to the tallest man who's ever lived. That's right, Robert Wadsworth. Robert Wadsworth of Alton, Illinois. He was 115 feet tall. You might want to check that. All right. Antecedently on this day in 1874, a cartoon by Thomas Nast in the Harper's Weekly is considered the very first time that an elephant had been used to depict the Republican Party. Thomas Nast on this day drew the first Republican elephant. Thomas Nast is also the Coca-Cola guy. He did the ad campaign for Coca-Cola, who invented Santa Claus. He didn't invent Santa. Shut up. He invented American Santa Claus. Don't tell me about Count von Kristallnacht or whatever. Don't fucking shut up. I don't care about that shit. American Santa. American Santa was created by Thomas Nast. He sat down and he went, I'm going to make a big diabetic fat guy in a red suit with a beard. That was him. He also did the GOP elephant on this day in 1874. On this day in 1960, Jeanette Rankin is the first woman elected to the United States Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jeanette Rankin Day. Woohoo! Nobody knows who the fuck Jeanette Rankin is. See, I always say this. You know, I love that we honor Jackie Robinson, but I also say we got to stop talking about, firsts. I guess okay. So he was the first guy. He was the first. He was the first black guy in Major League Baseball. That's great. He deserves the honor. But now, it's like we got a whole bunch of other, black guys in Major League Baseball. So, yeah. But we always honor the first. Now, I'm critical of like Charles Lindbergh and people like that who did. That's not really like Charles Lindbergh crossed the ocean first in a plane because he was like the first guy to try it. There were a whole bunch of people trying it. If it wasn't him, there was a guy that went up the next day who would have been, so I'm not all that impressed by that. But here we have a situation where Jeanette Rankin is the first female. There's only two genders. Oh, God, I know that's a controversial statement. I think we can be safe and assume that in 1916, when Jeanette Rankin was first elected to the United States Congress, I think in 1916, it's safe to assume most people would have been down with the idea that there were two genders in 1916. I know we got more now, but there were two in 1916. Jeanette Rankin is elected to Congress. That's a big deal. That's a very big. No woman had ever had a voice in the United States Congress before Jeanette Rankin. And we don't know who the hell she is. There are no statues. There's no Jeanette Rankin Day. You want to know why? Because she's a white woman. I'm serious. I'm serious. When I saw her name, when I was like, Jeanette Rankin, first woman elected to the United States Congress. Never heard of her. Have no idea who she was. You know what my first thought was? My first thought was, I thought that was Shirley Chisholm, because everybody knows Shirley Chisholm. There are schools, there are neighborhoods, there are streets, there are all kinds of things named after Shirley Chisholm. No, see, Shirley Chisholm is remembered because she's the first black woman in Congress. And that was in 1970, 69, somewhere in there. And this is not to take anything away from Shirley Chisholm. That's a great accomplishment. But I just think it's funny that white men, myself, middle-aged white men, we're always complaining about how we're totally marginalized, how nobody fucking cares about us anymore. You know who's even more marginalized than white men these days? White women. White women. Here we have Jeanette Rankin. Nobody knows who the hell she is. She was a white woman. She was the first white woman elected to Congress. Nobody knows who she is. But like 60 years later, Shirley Chisholm gets elected to Congress. She's a black woman, and everybody builds statues to her. I am not making a comment. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I am observing this and just putting it out there for discussion. White women today are being blamed by the crazy liberals for turning on your gender. They can't catch a break. White ladies can't catch a break. They're all, if you see a white lady in a viral video, she's a Karen. There are no cool white ladies. Who's the coolest white lady? Oh my God, this is something we got. Is there a cool white lady? Like, who's the coolest white lady in the world right now? Don't say Melania Trump. I'm looking for an American. Who's the coolest white lady? And it wouldn't be Melania Trump anyway. Who's the coolest white lady? What's Courtney Love getting into? Is Courtney Love still a thing? And is she cool now, or is she still where? Who? Aubrey Plaza? She's Puerto Rican. She's Puerto Rican. She's Puerto Rican. Nicole Kidman. She's not American. She's not American. Beyonce, not white. Who is the Pink? Is Pink influential at all? Is she? Lady Gaga, but she doesn't represent white women. She represents like space aliens and like, you know, very, very small sliver of, I don't know. Who's a famous? Byron says Roseanne Barr. She ain't the most famous. She ain't the coolest white woman. She ain't even the. We need like a serious A-lister. We need like. Public safety message. Breaking news here on the Rant, live from the E-Gallery. We've got a missing. Oh, I don't want to kid about this. It's a kid. Missing child from West Tewanki, Texas. Jordan Mascaron, 16 years old. She's a white female. She was last seen wearing a black T-shirt with AC/DC on the front, black pants with black and white shoes. Call West Tewakanni Police Department with more information. She's missing or endangered. Okay, I don't like that one. You know, I always tell you when I get these Amber Alerts, I always look for a couple of things. If the child is like really young, like a toddler, 4 years old, and if the kid that's missing has the same last name as the suspect who took him. If you read that in an Amber Alert, I don't know about you, but I always think, oh, that's custody. That's a dad. That kid's okay. Dad's not going to fucking kill that kid. That's a custody thing. You know what? Maybe the kid's in danger because maybe dad's a drunk, you know, but it's not like little girl was walking to school, van pulled up, now little girl is gone. And so it's a little bit different. This one, I don't know what to take from it. There is no mention of her being. Hey. Okay, anyway, don't get distracted by the Amber Alerts as they interrupt the show, but, you know, they are pretty important. Where was I? What was I talking about? Jeanette Rankin. Oh, yeah, white women. See, look at that. I'm trying to discuss how white women might have a case for being even more marginalized than white men, which I know is funny because, you know, every brown person in the audience is going, wait, okay, stop it. Stop it, white guy. No, I'm just saying. Look, you think that what I have to say is absurd. And part of me also thinks it's absurd because I do understand that we white men have pretty much had carte blanche to do whatever the fuck we've wanted the last 200 years in this country. I get that. But still, just pointing out the obvious, anybody who's upset about the events of Tuesday need to listen to what I'm saying here. That was the backlash. That was the backlash of white men being angry. Men being angry in general. I mean, men have been absolutely marginalized over the last 10 years. All men. Believe all women. No, look, this is the kind of issue where we need to meet halfway on because men are absolutely monsters. I've known a few. But so are women. And come on now. Seems like the only time we talk about these cases are when there's a wealthy male being accused of something, and, you know, so let's just tap the brakes. That's been the reality of every, like, dude, look, I'm a father of a son, right? You know, my son's a good kid. He tends to have girlfriends, but in long-term relationships, you know, he's not like, which I guess is good. He's kind of shy. You know, I don't know. But I have a son. Like, good Lord, man. There's some crazy chicks out there. I mean, my son's life could be destroyed if, and of course I say this in the scenario that I am presenting. Of course, my son did nothing wrong because I'm talking about my son. If my son did something wrong, I might not be able to accurately determine that because I'm his father. And you could criticize me for that if we were in a situation that was real, but this is hypothetical, so fuck you, okay? It's a very real concern. I mean, that's why, look, I always say this. I'm glad I don't have daughters. Because there's probably an even bigger concern on the side of fathers and daughters because of asshole sons out there running around. But anyway, yeah, man, the white man, the middle-aged white man with a set of golf clubs in his car, he fucking roared in this country on Tuesday. Jeanette Rankin, the first white female ever elected to Congress, and you've never heard of her. Antecedently on this day in the year 1917, the October Revolution occurs. It was this date that the Bolsheviks stormed the Winter Palace, changing the world forever. of course, bringing on the rise of communism in the Soviet Union and all of that. That was on this day, antecedently. What was the year? Antecedently, it doesn't matter. 1917. I'm going to say 1917. I lost my place because Google Drive can S a D. I hate Google Drive. I hate it. I mean, I like it. Honestly, I couldn't do my job without it. But I hate how sometimes you hit the wrong button and it just all goes away. That was antecedently the October Revolution on this day in 1917. On this day, antecedently in 1944, Franklin Delano Roosevelt is elected for a record 4th term as president of the United States. 4 terms. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Ain't no rules. Everything's a construct. We all just pretend. You can't do that. Why? Because it's a rule. Fuck your rule. That's the world. The sooner we start resisting our programming and just start looking at the world like that, fuck your rules. Antecedently on this day in 1989, Douglas Wilder wins the governor's seat in Virginia. I remember this, and I remember watching this live. The media told me this is a huge deal. Douglas Wilder, the very first black man elected governor in the United States. Douglas Wilder. Amazing. So who's the first woman governor ever elected? Who's the first white woman governor? Oh, the first woman governor, because you know the first woman governor is probably going to be white. First white woman governor ever elected in America. Go. Tell me. Come on. Respect the white woman. Tell me, who is it? Can't. Nobody fucking knows. The Wikipedia page that I went to find out who the first white woman was. It was like so convoluted. Well, the first woman to become a governor, she succeeded her husband who died on election night. And then there was a special election held 2 weeks. So technically she was the second woman to become governor. She wasn't elected to a full term. It was a special election. Oh my God. No, Douglas Wilder, first African-American man elected to a governor's seat in America. It is a huge deal. It is a huge deal. All other governors were like white men. And then you get a black man in there. And that's a big deal for a lot of people in this country who don't see representation in these kinds of environments. So this is big. This is big. What about women? Fuck women! Fuck them! Who's the first woman governor? You don't know. Nobody knows. There is no way to ever know who the first woman governor is. That's how little they care. Nobody ever wrote it down. Nobody. That's not true. Actually, the first woman governor was Ella T. Grasso of Connecticut. She was the first woman elected governor who was not the wife or widow of a past state governor. It was Ellen T. Grasso of Connecticut, elected in 1974. Nobody has ever heard of Ella T. Grasso, the first legitimately elected female to ascend to the governor's seat. She was white, and that's probably why, and this is my point, why we don't remember her, because it was like, yeah, fuck her, whatever. But, you know, other subsets, right? So different ethnic subsets, you know, they get their first in there, they make a big deal. Nobody ever cares about women when women were the first. I can tell you who the first woman senator of color in the United States was. It was Carol Moseley Braun of my state of Illinois. I proudly voted for her. I couldn't tell you the first. Who was the first woman senator in America? No idea. Hillary Clinton? I don't know. I have no idea. But I do know the first black woman senator, Carol Moseley Braun. Our programming dictates that we selectively remember and revere certain moments over others. And I've always found it interesting as to why that might be. All right, let's keep going here. Antecedently on this day, 1989, Doug Wilder wins the governor's seat in Virginia, becoming the first elected African-American in American history. Antecedently on this day in 1991, Magic Johnson announces that he is HIV positive and retires from the NBA. This is Magic Johnson's AIDS press conference. This was wild, man. This was big. What? Magic? Huh? That's big. Anyway, he's fine. He's still alive. He owns the Washington Commanders now. I mean, he's like doing Magic. Okay, so I'll lay down this theory. It's a long. I've had this theory for 30 years now, 25 at least. All right, so Magic Johnson had AIDS, HIV, excuse me. We need to understand what HIV is. HIV is a thing, and then it develops into AIDS, and it's the AIDS that kills you. You can live with HIV. Okay. So in my day, being Gen X, in my day, AIDS was a deal breaker. It destroyed the sexual experimentation and adventurism of my entire generation. AIDS, dude, AIDS like popped on the scene when I was 12, and it was everything for 10 years. So between 12 and 22, my generation was sex will kill ya. So then Magic Johnson, on this day in 1991, announces that he's got AIDS. And we're still right in the middle of the whole sex will kill you. You better wrap that rascal. Like, there was no crazy sex going on. There was no like boundaries being broken. It was a very bad, very lame, very traditional era in youth sexuality. And it was because of the specter of AIDS that was dropped right in our coming of age years. So on this day in 1991, Magic Johnson announces that he's got AIDS, and we're like, well, he's dead. Huh? Well, hey, I'm glad that we destroyed our entire sexuality for our generation. And here's going to be the example of it. We're going to watch Magic Johnson die, and then we're not going to feel so bad about not having good sex in 1988, because this is why, because AIDS kills everybody. And then like 10 years later, millennials see Magic Johnson, Mr. I have AIDS and can't do anything. Like 10 years later, they see Magic Johnson in footage dunking on Kobe in practice at Lakers practice. And the generation that came in after Gen X, after our incredibly stifled sexual experiences, the generation that came in after us went, oh, wait a second, AIDS doesn't kill you? They got a cocktail now? And all of a sudden, butt sex is on the table. You got chicks making out. Lesbianism is everywhere. And not just like bad Melissa Etheridge concert lesbianism. I'm talking about penthousey, Howard Stern caliber lesbianism. All because Magic Johnson didn't die of AIDS. That's my theory. On this day in 1991, Magic Johnson announced to the world that he was HIV positive. Antecedently, on this day in 1994, WXYC, the student radio station at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, launches the very first live stream. They did the first internet radio broadcast. Good for them. I'm sure they all got rich. No, they did it, and then they abandoned it, and then, that's probably the deal. Antecedently, on this day in the year 2000, the controversial U.S. presidential election between George W. Bush and Al Gore, hanging chads, that happens. Remember, this is the hanging chad election of 2000. Antecedently, also on this day in 2000, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration discovers one of the country's largest LSD labs. Where? Well, inside a converted military missile silo in Wamego, Kansas. Because you guys ever seen this story? I think it's been made into a movie. Probably. It's 24 years ago. So this like crazy, like rich, like I think he's a silver spoon rich kid, but he was also like a big, like, dude, I love shrooms and LSD. He's like one of these dudes. He had money. So he bought one of these old closed down Cold War missile silos in the middle of Kansas, and he converted it into the world's largest LSD lab. He just started cranking out the world's LSD from an old U.S. military silo. That was they caught him. They broke in there on this day in 2000. Also on this day in 2020, Joe Biden is elected president. Hey, how'd that work out for you? How did that work out, Joe? Everybody was so happy back then. Let's do birthdays. They say it's your birthday. These are people claiming to have birthdays. I mean, we all claim to have birthdays. We all know we all have birthdays. I don't know that these are the exact days, but whatever. It's the published days. Born on this day in the year 1867, Marie Curie, also known as Madame Curie. Everybody knows Madame Curie. Madame Curie. Oh, my God, Madame Curie, Marie Curie. Oh, you talk about the great accomplishments of women. Madame Curie. What has a woman ever done? What about Marie Curie? And then they go, okay, there's one. That's all they know. They all know Marie Curie did something. What'd she do? What'd she do? Nobody knows what she did. Nobody knows what she cured polio. Oh, that's Jonas Salkin. Nobody knows what Marie Curie did. Polio? No, it's not polio. Stop thinking she had something to do with polio. Radiation. Radiation. She won the Nobel Prize for her work with radiology and radiation and all of that stuff. X-rays. She invented X-rays. Let's go with that. Happy birthday, Marie Curie. You're a cool chick. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1918. How about Billy Graham, American minister and author, one of the most powerful evangelical forces this country has ever known? Boy, they really kind of took the Billy Graham model and just kind of prison raped it in the shower, didn't they? Because what I understand and what I know, and I've seen, I read a Billy Graham biography back in the 90s, but I've seen like interviews with Billy Graham because you guys know about me and my faith and all that stuff, right? I don't really have faith in the traditional way that some of you followers of Christian Judeo practice might describe your faith. I am best described as a seeker. I am a lapsed Catholic. I still consider myself culturally Catholic. I love the bells and whistles of Catholicism, and I love. Look, I had to go through all kinds of Catholic school, and I had to take all kinds of like communions and shit like that. So I am going to enjoy the bells and whistles of Catholicism. And like most Catholics I know, I do not have to believe in the shit that they're telling me. I'm just there for the community. I like the big hats. I like the smells. I like our churches. You want to know what I like most about being Catholic? I like that we got real churches. You holy rolling Christian evangelicals, you're running around going, we love the Jesus. Your churches suck. Your churches look like converted shopping malls, and in many cases they are. Our churches are cathedrals built to the Lord. Stonework, masonry, beautiful gargoyles all over the place. It's amazing. Our churches, when you walk through them, your footsteps echo. Why? So the angels can carry your presence to the Lord. Your churches have fucking carpeting. What? Yeah, carpeting. Our churches have the worst music you're ever gonna hear, and it's on purpose to remind you that you are paying penance for being a dirty, bad human. That's the Catholic way. So you got to listen to bad music at Catholic Church. Other people, these phony religions, they got dudes with ponytails playing guitars. What? Anyway, Billy Graham was an evangelical, and he was very big, and he was very popular. And, you know, I actually have a lot of respect and a high regard for the things that Billy Graham preached and the things that Billy Graham believed. I think he's a good man. Happy birthday, Billy. Happy birthday there, Billy Grahams. Spent some time in Wheaton, Illinois, Billy Graham. North Carolina kid, don't get twisted. But, you know, people in Wheaton, Illinois like to claim that Billy Graham is their guy. Billy Graham's from Wheaton, Illinois. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's not from Wheaton, Illinois. He went to Wheaton College for like 4 years. Stop. Jesus Christ. Wheaton, Illinois is a town outside of Chicago. And they're really big on the people who came from Wheaton, Illinois. Everybody came from Wheaton, Illinois. Like, it is kind of true. Like, if you look at, like, if you go to their, what would you do? You go to their Wikipedia page, and it will say famous people from Wheaton, Illinois. You'll be like, holy fuck, what's in the water out there? Now, granted, there's like 15 Belushis and Murrays, I think. You know, so there's like that to contend with. All right. Billy Graham, born on this day in 1918. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1942. Okay. All right. So here, this is a pop culture figure that you may not know, and that's quite all right. But if you're like me, if you're a Gen X guy, and especially if you're a fan of the band, the Smithereens, you need to know who Jeannie Shrimpton is. Look at her. Jeannie Shrimpton, born on this day. She was what year was she born? How old is she? She's beautiful. 1942, she's beautiful. Jeannie Shrimpton was a fashion model. She was a part of a storm of British fashion models in the mid-1960s, the swinging 1960s. She's been name-checked culturally and everything from songs to movies. There was a person that played her, and she got name-checked a couple of times in the Austin Powers films. And of course, if you're a Smithereens fan,
she had hair like Jeannie Shrimpton back in 1965.
And there you have it. This is a picture of Jeannie Shrimpton with her hair in 1965. I can see why it inspired a song. Let's see what else she is. She's very pretty. Very pretty. She's pretty. She would be pretty today, right? I mean, how do I word that and not sound like a complete fucking moron? Her style, right? Pretty is pretty. Pretty is pretty. But her style and the way she is wearing her makeup in that hair, that's a beautiful woman today in 2024 is all I'm saying. She could pull that outfit off. You'd be like, oh, isn't she stylish? And then I'd be like, she's a time traveler. She's actually from 1965. She's got legs too, Jeannie Shrimpton. Well, of course she's got legs. What the fuck is wrong with you? Thinking she doesn't have legs. There she is. All right. Yeah, she's a babe. She's a hot 60s, like swinging London, Austin Powers babe. Jeannie Shrimpton. Born on this day in 1942, British model, English actress, all that stuff. Born on this day in 1943, Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell is important. Joni Mitchell is an icon. Joni Mitchell is somebody that people love and revere, and many might consider the greatest female songwriter in the history of American popular music. Me, I nod along and I go, yeah, I've heard that. I don't know shit about Joni Mitchell. I've heard a couple of Joni Mitchell songs in my life growing up, and like it's one of them deals where I probably hear it for like 20 seconds and then go, yeah, this ain't my thing. I don't know what this is. This is like a horse-faced girl singing with an acoustic guitar about what? Broken hearts and flowers? Not my thing. Not my thing. But I guess she's a genius, and that's cool. You're a misogynist. That very well may be. Quite frankly, I think for the next 4 years, I don't have to worry about being called a misogynist. Because as I say, there are no rules. The construct has been broken, and we are all just free to be whoever we are. All right, there you have it. Getting a little crazy here. Birthdays. We're still in Joni Mitchell. Happy birthday, right? I got no beef with Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell. Got no beef with her. I'm unfamiliar. Born on this day in 1943. Born on this day in 1950. Excuse me. Hiccups. No. Can't have hiccups. Haven't had hiccups yet at the new studios. Can't have hiccups. Born on this day in 1957, Christopher Knight, a.k.a. Peter Brady. Peter Brady. Peter Brady seems to have done it well. Peter Brady was an icon as a 12-year-old. He basically peaked at 15, and then his entire life was, well, destined for normalcy. Peter Brady didn't become Dustin Hoffman. Don't know if you've noticed. Peter Brady, a.k.a. our birthday boy, Christopher Knight. I think he popped back on the scene back in the 90s. He married some model who was on some reality show. And then the two of them, like, but he's not. Peter Brady, like, was never like, I need to keep grinding to be a movie star. Now, Peter Brady seemed to just be like, all right, I'm good, whatever. Good for him. Happy birthday, Christopher Knight, a.k.a. Peter Brady. Born on this day in 1957. All right, now for the flip side of that, born on this day in 1964, Dana Plato. Dana Plato could have learned a few lessons from Christopher Knight. Dana Plato is, of course, another child star who chose the other path, and she died in an RV in her mom's driveway in Arizona or Indiana. I don't know, someplace. It just wasn't a pretty picture. Dana Plato would have celebrated a birthday today. Would have been 60 years old. Kimberly Drummond would have turned 60 years old today. Born on this day in 1983. Here's the last one for the birthdays. Adam Devine. No, he is not the singer from Maroon 5. I'm made uncomfortable that I have to live in a celebrity world that presents me with both an Adam Levine and an Adam Devine, and I don't know much about either, and I'm expected to not conflate the two, but here we are. Adam Devine is not the lead singer of Maroon 5. That would be Adam Levine. Adam Devine is that really funny dude from The Righteous Gemstones. Oh, really funny dude, the nanny, right, from Modern Family. A dude from Workaholics on Comedy Central. A very funny, young comedic actor who I wish nothing but the best for. But absolutely not that guy that sings the Maroon 5 song. That's not him. Texas Rangers, Frankie, he's hanging out in the chat room. He says, hi, Pugs, and he says it's not streaming on Facebook. Byron, who is, of course, I don't know if you know this, he's North Texas's premier authority on Dana Plato, president of the Dana Plato fan club, and a very strong Dana Plato truther. He corrects me. Byron in the chat room says that it was her fiance's mother's driveway in Moore, Oklahoma. There you go. Look at that. I said died in her mom's driveway in either Indiana or Arizona. And I truly think that if you were to combine Arizona and Indiana, you would get Oklahoma. Hugh Morris says Plano ruled a suicide in Oklahoma City, but everyone thinks it was accidental. When a junkie I'm just saying. Conversation to be had about when a junkie overdoses, what we classify that as. I think it's almost always suicide. Unless it's the first time. If it's the first time, if you're like, man, I really want to try some junk, and then you die, well, one, fuck you, you're an idiot. I don't know what you did wrong, but not a good plan. That's not a suicide. But I think if you're a long-term smack addict, I think you know the risks. You know that you just want, I think that's a suicide. Maybe accidental. Wait, is that a thing? Is there such a thing as an accidental suicide? I don't think so. Wait, let me think about that. Let me think about that intellectually for a moment. Accidental suicide. What I have to do is I have to think about my thoughts on suicide. And they are many, being somebody who has depression. So I already have a very well-established view on what suicide is, what that act is. Could it be accidental? Nope. Nope. All right, there you go. See, I worked through it and I came to my decision. There is no such thing, at least in the new Trump's America, where I'm allowed to decide whatever the fuck I want. There's no such thing as an accidental suicide. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Now let's do deads, right? Let's do deads. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Here we go. People died on this day. Let's talk about them. Let's open up their life's resume and let's decide, where did they go? Did they ascend to heaven, or are they burning in hell as we speak? Dead on this day, 1962, Eleanor Roosevelt, American humanitarian. Well, see, I mean, when like the first line of your obituary is that you're a humanitarian, it's like the first line is like, totally awesome human. So first of all, you all know that I carry water for the Roosevelts. I think they're awesome. Whether we're talking Teddy, whether we're talking Franklin, whether we're talking Eleanor, I love them all. Eleanor Roosevelt's going to heaven, man. She was the first lady. She was the first lady. And by the way, this was at a time when this wasn't allowed. You weren't allowed to do this. She was the first lady who went, seems like a lot of people listen to what I say. She was the first lady to actually say, all right, well, I'm going to make them focus on me. If they're focusing on me, then I'm going to make them watch me doing all of these good things. And if they're going to report on what the first lady did, then they're going to report that the first lady was hanging out in really bad schools in Harlem, or that the first lady was hanging out in, mines, because she toured the country. And she basically did, that dude, Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs? Basically, Eleanor Roosevelt pioneered that concept. She traveled the country and visited all of the absolute worst working environments, and then informed her husband as to what kind of places could really use the most help with his New Deal. A good example of that is Kentucky Lake. I don't know what you know about Kentucky Lake, but basically Kentucky Lake exists because Eleanor Roosevelt said, we got to get these good people out of the mines. And she created all of these jobs. Anyway, point is, Eleanor Roosevelt is going to heaven. I think she's the best first lady of all time. She's a good woman. Born on this day in 1980. Anybody who knows anything about me knows that you know what, honestly, if I'm being truthful, we could just end the show here and I could just do the next hour and a half on the person who died on this day in 1980. One of my favorites. You know, I'm big on them dudes. This is, you know, if I created a them dude award as new them dudes emerge from time to time, they should be bestowed with a trophy. The them dudes, one of them dudes, if you are anointed one of them dudes by me in this show, you're going to receive the Steve McQueen trophy, okay? Because there is no bigger them dude than Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen was a badass, man. I love Steve McQueen. Now, I don't know. Look, the man's been dead since this day in 1980. A lot of you probably have no fucking idea who Steve McQueen is. I get that. How do I introduce Steve McQueen? Imagine Paul Newman if Paul Newman was fucking 50 times even cooler. Okay? That's McQueen. I love Paul Newman. Paul Newman's number 2. Steve McQueen's number 1, but it ain't close. It ain't close. It ain't like, well, if Steve McQueen does a bad movie, he's going to fall to number 2 and Newman's going to... No. It's one of the reasons why Towering Inferno is one of my favorite films of all time. Why? Because Paul Newman and Steve McQueen, side by side. Steve McQueen died of cancer on this day. He was badass. Steve McQueen was an actor. He was called the King of Cool. He was, I guess women thought he was sexy. I look at him, like if I look at Steve McQueen next to Paul Newman, I'm like, well, Paul Newman is obviously the better looking man. But for some reason, women were fucking nuts for Steve McQueen because he embodied masculinity. He was a fucking dude, man. He'd punch your fucking lights out if you talk shit. He's also intellectual. Really big into Eastern philosophies and all of that stuff. A fucking daredevil. The dude was a wing walker. Like when he was on the farms in Indiana, he would walk wings. Not even for money, just to see if he could do it. You know the crop duster planes? Then he was a Marine, fought in World War II, came to America, became a huge movie star, and was like, this is some stupid shit. Stopped movie starring so that he could then become a professional motorcycle racer and a professional car racer. And he didn't just race stupid little cars on a celebrity circuit. He went to Le Mans and he entered a Le Mans car. Steve McQueen is one of them dudes. He's a badass. And because of that, we're going to do a Steve McQueen draft, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, by the way, he's going to hell. McQueen's going to hell. All of this shit that I just told you about, McQueen's going to hell. He was a narcissist. He hurt women. Like, he just left so many women with broken hearts. He just cheated on everybody. But he was cool, man. If you had to go out for a beer, you wanted to go out for a beer with Steve McQueen because he is one of them dudes. All right, Steve McQueen draft. For those of you who may be unfamiliar, I think there's a lot of millennials who never really connected with the great McQueen. Us Gen Xers, maybe he connected more with us Gen Xers because he died. Like it was a big deal when Steve McQueen died in 1980. He was a big movie star. It would be like if George Clooney died today. Although I think McQueen was even younger than Clooney is now. But imagine if just breaking news, George Clooney is dead. It'd be like, whoa, wait, we didn't see that coming. Anyway, here we go. Steve McQueen draft. Let's go. The very first Steve McQueen film that I think you ought to see. And by the way, we've worked through a lot of these with my 15-year-old. That's where this draft comes from. These are the Steve McQueen movies that I've already made my 15-year-old son watch. Number 1, The Great Escape. Of course, he plays the Cooler King, Virgil Hilts. The Great Escape, man. The Great Escape, where he's got his fucking leather bomber jacket and he's got his baseball glove and his fucking baseball. He's bouncing it off the wall in solitary. The Great Escape is about a bunch of them. It's think of Hogan's Heroes, but not really funny. It's it's about a bunch of American prisoners of war during World War II, and Steve McQueen plays the Cooler King, the American soldier who's the smartass, who's always in trouble, and because of that, he's always in the cooler, and he gets sent in the cooler. The cooler is a box that the prisoners have to just sit in for like days and days, and whenever you see him walking with his baseball glove and his ball. He's headed for the cooler. He's done something wrong. The Cooler King, The Great Escape, #1. And then the motorcycle. You realize I just talked about The Great Escape, and I didn't even mention the motorcycle scene. The motorcycle escape where Steve McQueen himself makes that jump. That's Steve McQueen. Jumps over the fence in the great climactic scene from The Great Escape. Virgil Hilt's The Cooler King from The Great Escape is #1 on my list of movies you need to see to appreciate the great Steve McQueen. #2, what do you think? You think he's just an action star? You think he's the fucking Rock or some bullshit like that? #2, you got to see Papillon. Papillon. Of course, Steve McQueen plays the title role of Papillon. Interestingly enough, one of the more interesting characters is Papillon. Papillon is the story of a man. Alcatraz? What? No, not Alcatraz. What is some French penal colony? It's about dudes who are in prison. Okay, and Papillon is played by Steve McQueen, and he's in prison. But his little buddy in the film is a young Dustin Hoffman. Whatever happened to Dustin Hoffman? Did he ever do anything more? Papillon is #2 in my Steve McQueen draft. #3 had to be there. Steve ain't the star of it because it's an ensemble, but his character of Vin Tanner is my favorite. Steve McQueen, The Magnificent Seven, is #3. Magnificent Seven is, in my opinion, the best cowboy movie ever made. The Magnificent Seven. Steve McQueen as Vin Tanner. Okay, so what are we at now? We're at #4. Here we go. Okay. One of the most interesting and at the time, certainly one of the most experimental films ever made. I'm an auto racing fan. You guys know this. I love Formula One. I grew up on Indy. My uncle used to drive Indy. He worked in Formula One. He did all that stuff. So my 70s and 80s, I would, very focused on that kind of stuff. Spent the 80s going to races all around the country. So I love racing. Le Mans is #4. Le Mans is a movie that Steve McQueen made, and it is the best racing film ever made. Why? Because he actually entered the race. The film depicts what a driver and a team goes through when entering one of these endurance 24 hours races, these 24 hours of Daytona, 24 hours of Le Mans. Le Mans is in France. Le Mans is a film that was actually made by Steve McQueen. They entered a car in the fucking race with cameras. It was so innovative for the 1960s when it was made, and it still holds up, and it is the most exciting racing movie I've ever seen. Le Mans, Steve McQueen, #4 in the Steve McQueen draft. #5, Bullet. Bullet is such a badass movie, man. There's nothing that epitomized 1970s popcorn films quite like Bullet. Fast and the Furious in 1972 or whatever. I don't even know when it was. It's Fast and the Furious for that era. Except it's even better because it's got fucking Steve McQueen. All right, that's our draft. 1, Great Escape. 2, Papillon. 3, The Magnificent Seven. 4, Le Mans. #5, Bullet. But we are, because it's McQueen, got a whole bunch of people coming. We got a bunch of these camp invites, not drafted, not draft picks, but we think they got something, so we're going to take a look at them. How about The Getaway with Ali McGraw? Woo! How about The Hunter, his last film? The Hunter is famously that movie where he drives his car off of Marina Towers in Chicago. It's a big scene. People in Chicago remember that because the Marina Tower is that white honeycomb-shaped building in Chicago that's right there on the river. Steve McQueen drove a car, and was it Bullet? No, not Bullet. It was The Hunter. That's it. He drove a car off of. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The Hunter is absolutely getting a camp invite. So is Sand Pebbles. Sand Pebbles is a beautiful, beautiful movie that, if you know me, I don't have a lot of tolerance for beautiful movies, but people love it. Sand Pebbles is going to get an invite. Towering Inferno, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite movies of all time. Not a great film, but it is a film that does combine Steve McQueen and Paul Newman and, just for good measure, O.J. Simpson. Towering Inferno is coming to camp. Cincinnati Kid, and I don't know, really anything else. He's for The Blob, right? He starred in The Blob. That was his first movie from like 1952. Steve McQueen, dead on this day in 1980. Absolutely going to hell. But again, another one of those dudes that makes me think, maybe I want to go to hell. Maybe hell is better than heaven, because it seems to me that all the super fun people, seems like they're the ones that are all going to heaven. Or hell, I should say. All right, that's going to do it. Quarter 1, 2, and 3 are in the books. Now it's time to move into all the hot topics and current events facing our great nation today. We'd like to thank one more time the executive producers of today's show and all of you who got us through another one of these insane pledge weeks. CC and Tiffany, they're on the hook for the next month of shows. So I hope you appreciate it, and I'll do my best to make sure that their money is well spent. Thank you, folks. All right, let's get into quarter 4. These are all the hot topics, current events, and trends, and things that people are talking about today. We'll start off, how about right here? Kamala concedes, ladies and gentlemen. She concedes. Kamala Harris picked up the phone. She gave who's she called? She called Biden. No, she's conceding. She's calling Trump. She picks up the phone. She calls Trump. She says, I concede. Apparently, it was very nice. Apparently, there were invitations to work together. It's very nice. He acted like a statesman. There you go. So far, so good, man. He and Biden had a nice talk. Trump and Biden, again, spoke of working together and getting together, and what a smooth and wonderful transition we're going to have. I tweeted earlier today that it was pretty cool how the Dems proved that the elections were not fixed by just completely getting their asses handed to them. See, the election's not fixed. We lost, and we lost big. And the Republicans are like, yeah, we're good with these results. We don't see anything wrong. Nothing wrong. Fun times. All right, so now, I also pointed this out yesterday. Apparently, Tim Walz broke down. He started crying. Boo-hoo, I'm so sad. Any of you people think that Tim Walz and Kamala Harris will ever be in the same room again? Not a chance. Not a fucking chance, man. I'm telling you, I don't think so. Nope. They're not friends. This was such a... By the way, people are now starting to go, maybe she should have gone with Josh Stein. And I'm like, why? So that she could win because she could win Pennsylvania, maybe? If she had gone with Josh Stein? It wouldn't have helped her in Michigan. Those Arab people there, they hate her because of her ties to Israel. They went with the guy that wasn't Stein because they were afraid of not winning Michigan. And so they went with Tim Walz. And they still lost Michigan because they're absurdly bad at this. Again, what is the problem with the liberals versus the conservatives? And again, let me just state for all to hear, I am neither. I'm like in the middle. You're all fucking nuts. You're all dumb. You're all a bunch of little followers. Go chase your little favorite sports team. Political style. Bothers. Fuck out of me. All right. So anyway, where was I? I just lost my stream of consciousness. All right, that's all right. Never mind. We're going to move on. Kamala concedes. Biden and Trump talk. I am still holding. I think Trump's a D-bag. You know that. I think he's like, obvious. I look at him and I'm like, and it's not because, he puts kids in cages. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I just think he looks like a D-bag. And he acts like a D-bag. He seems to push people around and he talks like a dick. So okay, that's my thing. And I've been consistent on this for 30 years. But I am the one who is sitting here telling you right now that I think that there is a possibility that we're going to see a different guy this time than we saw in 2016. And that is, again, simply because I don't believe he has any interest in running again. I think the only reason he ran this time was because he needed to win. He needed to win. He's a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. We all are to some degree. I certainly am. Look what I do every day. But that's the drive. He needed to win. And he won big. And he's got to feel so good now. He don't want to run again. He does not want to campaign again. He's not gonna. I don't even know if he can. I'm not sure what the rules are. You're hearing everybody go back and forth with two different. Doesn't matter. He doesn't want to win again. He won. He fixed. What was that? Now I truly think that there is a chance that this man could be thinking about his legacy. What I know about him is that he loves to be popular. That he loves to not only be popular, but he loves to be popular with the right people. He likes the cool kids. If America is really just one giant high school, Donald Trump is the rich kid that doesn't get to sit at the cool kids' table. And he wants to sit at the cool kids' table. And for the last 10 years, he has made it his job to get elected. And he's gotten himself elected by essentially going after the cool kids at the cool kids table. And I just think that after all this time, he still just wants to be, a favorite of Hollywood. He would love for Beyonce to want to come have a meeting with him in the Oval Office. He would love it. He's that guy. He likes celebrity. There's a part of him that's probably really upset that Howard Stern hates him so much because he used to love going on the Howard Stern show. Donald Trump was a P1 of the Howard Stern show. He's done it all. He's accomplished it all. And I just don't know that he needs to be there is no reason that I see for him to be so overtly divisive as he was the first time, because he doesn't need to continue to stoke a base that wants that. I think his narcissism is just going to turn him into somebody that is thinking, will they ever name a school after me? Outside of Alabama. How's that? Will they ever name a school after me outside of Alabama? Will they name a street after me in Manhattan? I honestly think that those are the kinds of things that he's thinking about. And I also think that he's got two young children. He's got Barron, he's got Tiffany. I know Tiffany's a woman, but she's still a young woman. She's got a lot of years left in this world. And the other thing, the final thing that I think plays into this whole thing, never underestimate the influence of Ivanka Trump on her daddy. And I really think that we're going to see that now. She did not campaign with him. She did not think that he was going to win. And I don't think she wanted her brand anywhere near the kind of stuff that she felt he would have needed to do to get elected. But he won. And she, like Rosie Ruiz at the Boston Marathon, showed up on stage at the victory announcement. First time she's appeared at any campaign-related event since he announced his reelection. He loves her. She is the only person on this planet, Melania, possibly even Barron. I don't know his feelings towards Barron. Ivanka has incredible influence on him. And if you have listened to any of the things that she has said over the past couple of years, I think look, am I being hopeful? Well, yeah, why the fuck not? I'm a grown man. I'm making a choice. What should I do? Be openly pessimistic? Oh, he's going to start deportations on day one. Everybody's going to be in camps. Come on, man. I choose to be optimistic. I choose that there's an outside chance that this man, who is really just an entertainer at the end of it all, is only looking for applause. And there's a chance that he's going to do some good things. Do you know why? Because he's got it all. And we'll talk about that. Also, a couple of things now in the light of day of the election that are starting to become quite obvious. The Trump campaign did some things that are just incredible. Incredible. How did the Trump campaign win? Win? With slogans like, she's for they, them, he's for you. They're saying that's the slogan that resonated most effectively with people. She's for they, them, he's for you. In that it also sort of shines a light on my criticism yesterday of the modern Democratic Party, where they seem to die on shit hills. The Democratic Party takes positions and dies popularly on hills made of shit, like these trans issues, that you just need to recognize. We need to slow the rollout on the whole trend. There are a lot of people in this country who are like, wait a second. And they didn't. The Democratic Party decided to make that is non-negotiable. That was kind of their radical stance on those kinds of issues. And I think it cost them. And all Trump's got to do is put out a fucking slogan like, she's for they, them, he's for you. And that shit fucking resonates. The other big thing they're saying, and I didn't even know this, man. I didn't even know this. I walk a dog through a couple of different neighborhoods 3 times a day. I do an average of 5 miles of walking every day. I got my little pedometer and all that stuff. I love it. One of the most common yard signs of the past month, I didn't think was political. I didn't think it had anything to do with a political party. And it did. It was a Trump campaign sign. And I had no idea. There were yards that had no signs except this sign. And I would walk by and I'd look at that sign and I'd go, good. I go, these seem okay. Good. And you know what it was? Save Girls Sports. That's it. It was a sign of and it depicted like a 14-year-old ponytailed girl, at least the ones that I saw, ponytailed girl soccer player. And she's just out there, she's smiling, and that's all it is. And the sign just simply says, Save Girls Sports. Doesn't say Trump campaign, Trump 24. Doesn't have any red, doesn't have any GOP insignia. It was a green sign that was a picture of a girl playing soccer, a real picture of a real girl playing soccer, and it said Save Girls Sports. That sign was everywhere. That was a Trump campaign sign. That's how he got independence. That's how he got everything that he's got. Because once again, the Democratic Party, who if you are somebody who roots for the opposition party, Democratic Party today is dead. And if you are someone who roots for that party and votes for that party and you're either one of the reasons they're dead, or this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to reshape your party. You gotta come a little bit more back to the middle, folks. You gotta. Anyway, those were the two absolutely brilliant marketing and campaign strategies that Trump did, utilizing these issues that are not big issues. These are not major issues. They should not be wedge issues. They do not affect, and I'm talking about from the perspective of the Democratic Party, how many people in this country are trans, man? 10,000? I don't know. Is that number low? 10,000. You lost everything. You lost everything dying on the shit hill for 15,000 people. You could have just fucking rolled your eyes and gone on and not talked about it at all and then done your best to defend them. But no, you took the fucking bait and you made that the number one issue. You made that the issue that the good person in Nebraska, who is a normal person, who doesn't vote necessarily exclusively red or blue, and probably was going to vote for you because she fucking can see Trump. She knows what he is. But no, the Democrats chose to die on the shit hill that protected about 20,000 Americans. Is that number wrong? If it is, I am certain that an Adam Reno will bring it up to me. But it ain't look, I'm sorry, whatever number it is, whatever number. What is it? Is there a trans registry? How do we get that number? Well, the latest trans, if there's not, there will be. I'm sure one's coming. I'm sure that Project 2025 has a whole fucking page about a trans registry. No, I mean, my point is this. They're not a voting group of people that you leverage your entire party's future on. Not yet. You fight for them quietly behind the scenes, and you don't make the issue a front and center issue because you know it freaks out farmers. Fuck! That's why the Democrats got their asses handed to them. And that is why the Republican Party, who, if I had talked to a diehard Democrat a couple of days before the election, they'd have been like, the Republican Party is going to be completely gone by Christmas. I mean, look, they've reduced themselves to running a convicted felon and a rapist. I mean, it's all clear sailing from here on out. You fucking idiots. You completely screwed the pooch. And now they have everything. Dems. So my Dem friends, to my liberal friends, to my left-leaning friends, how do you see this? Are you just going to sit around? Are you just going to knit a fucking pink pussy hat? What are you going to do? You're going to cry on social media? Or are you going to look at the state of your party? You're going to get involved at the local level? Maybe in the beginning, it's just like 3 of you normal Democrats meeting at the public library every Tuesday. But whatever, it's a fucking start. How do we normalize the normal people in this country and take back an entire fucking political party? I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you. If you come up with any ideas, I'll be here streaming every day at noon. Just pop in the chat room and let me know. The big question that's being asked right now, and I've got an opinion on this. Should Biden pardon Trump? Ooh, that's quite a question. I mean, it doesn't seem like it, right? It's like, they never do that. They hate each other. Of course he's going to pardon Trump. Of course he is. Biden's going to pardon Trump. Trump's going to pardon Hunter. They've already floated the pardoning of Hunter Biden. Don Jr. tweeted that they needed to pardon Hunter Biden. I mean, at the time, I thought that it was just because Don Jr. thought his dad was going to lose and that he himself was going to be looking at some charges. But of course, these guys are going to take care of each other. What do you people who stood in line at the rally, you think that they're not going to take care of each other? You think, oh, I get it. You still think it's, Trump is with you guys, and you think that Biden is with them weirdos. You don't realize that Biden and Trump are with each other and their entire class that have been controlling the motherfucking puppet strings all these years. They're going to be fine. They're going to pardon. Of course. Biden will absolutely, mark it right here. Biden absolutely 100% is going to pardon Trump out the door. Deuces motherfucker. Why? Because they're going to say that it's to show how much unity there is in this country. Which is just more bullshit. Just more bullshit. Or is it? I don't know. Look, I mean, you look at the numbers as they seem to be totaling. Maybe there is unity in this. Maybe more and more people are actually on that side than we're comfortable admitting in polls or in public or in conversations over beers. That is the beautiful thing about being able to cast your vote in private. You can present one thing publicly and then go in there and behind that curtain cast whatever fucking vote you want. So who knows? Adam, an idealist, absolutely will not happen. Yeah, well, I'll bet you. How much do you want to bet? I will bet cash on this. I already know it's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. And it's going to bring the country together in this transition. Biden and the Democrats, because remember what I told you about the Democrats, Adam? Democrats love an opportunity to fall on the sword. They love an opportunity to take a loss if they can present themselves as, do you see, we're willing to take a loss and do the right thing because we're good people. Never will an opportunity to do that pass a Democrat where they will not take it. Of course, everything out of the people in the White House right now is going to be about, we're welcoming to Mr. Trump because this is how democracy works and it works so well. That bullshit is why the fucking Democrats are feckless. Now, I'm not saying that he should be like, fuck that guy. But you don't have to do what they're going to do, which is going to be this big dog and pony show designed to show us how smoothly an American democratic election can have a transition. They're going to do it. They're going to do it because the Democrats think it's important to show that. Of course, the other side doesn't give a fuck and would never fucking do this kind of shit. They are as punitive and as retro fucking, I don't even know what to call it. But no, the Democrats, I resign my Senate seat because it's the right thing to do. And I shouldn't have smiled on that woman, at that woman on the bus. I made her feel afraid. And now the Senate fucking flips to the Republicans because that Democrat fucking fell on his sword looking at you, motherfucking Al Franken. That's how we do. But we don't do politics here, folks. See, that's why I fucking hate politics. Because no matter what, the conversation always ends with me being unbelievably confused by how it started and how it ended. I like to live in a world where I can see things, how they start, and then I can follow the sausage being made. And then when it comes out, I go, yeah, that's pretty much how I expected it. But that is not politics. Politics, we have it, we start it, and then we watch the sausage being made. And then a $1,500 hammer comes out the other side. Where did that come from? That's politics, my friend. It makes no sense. Tried explaining the other day, tried explaining to my son's mother, who is an incredibly smart woman, tried explaining to my son's mother the hemp laws in this country and what is and what isn't legal and illegal, because we've got a teenager and all of these fucking kids seem to be walking around vaping. So we got to stay frosty. We got to figure out what it is that, we're seeing here. So I had to have a conversation with an incredibly bright woman about the law, what is and what isn't legal as far as marijuana and getting high and THC and THCA. And she just couldn't fucking get it. And she's a really smart woman. I mean, she's brilliant. She's really smart to talk to and have really deep conversations with. And she's analytical and all of those great things. And she's like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. She's like, no, but explain it to me again. I'm like, no, you want me to explain the hemp law to you so that it'll finally make sense. And I am telling you, it is not going to make sense because that's fucking politics. It doesn't make sense. So it's legal to buy, and you can buy it. And companies can set up shop and they can give you a receipt and the police can arrest you until you use it. What do you mean? Using it's illegal. What do you mean using it's illegal? Well, actually, as soon as you take that legal hemp that you've purchased and as soon as you heat it up, the components of that hemp go from being a completely legal product to a now illegal product. So you can buy the legal version of it, but the minute you try and smoke it, now you are in fact breaking the law. That doesn't sound like it makes sense, right? Cars are legal. You can buy a car, but the minute you try and drive it off the lot, you are breaking the law. And I'm trying to explain this to a smart woman, and she's like, that you got to have that wrong. And I'm like, and we were married, so we had a lot of fights, and I could see where this is going because she's getting frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna have a fight with you on this. I see where this is going, and you're frustrated because you're smart and it doesn't make sense, and it should infuriate smart people that this is how our fucking country is governed. By a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of duplicitous, lying sack of shit lawyers. All right, let's move on. What else do we have here? What are we talking about? Biden, should he pardon Trump or not? I bet he will. Regardless of Trump's fault in any of the above, I can't see how the 2024 election was a definitive verdict on the subject delivered by the highest authority, the people. Yeah, okay, so that's from, I don't even know where that's from. So here's the argument for pardoning Trump. And this I believe, I don't think this is the argument the Dems will make. I think the Dems will use the argument of seamless transition. It's what's best for the country, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll send professionals out. They'll send professionals out to have to sort of take questions on it. Sorry, somebody just showed up here to the e-gallery, and I'm trying to figure out who it is by the sound of their voice. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So the argument for the pardon is that, man, we all know how many convictions he's got. We all know everything y'all saying he did, but we voted for him, and he won in a landslide. So that has got to, in some way, shape, or form, trump a jury, no pun intended, like a jury. So as it says here, there was a definitive verdict on the subject, and it was delivered by the highest authority in the land, the voting people of the United States. And, whatever. Okay. You got Jack Smith is packing up his office. That shit's going away. Whatever. Again, I don't care. You care because you're like, justice. And, you're freaking out about this because, again, you're tethered to the construct. Not me. Not anymore. Not in the last, I'm telling you, last 48 hours. This is going to be a whole different worldview that you're going to see out of me. I say, let's go. We are rolling them dice because you lose all your money. That's not a real thing. There's a thing called bankruptcy. That ain't real. It's the whole, let's go. Let's roll. Nothing is real anymore. It's only real if you play the game. And at any point, you can stop playing the game and say, yeah, this isn't real. Good lawyers? Oh, my God. Break some laws. Get some good lawyers, man. You can get out of this shit. Everything is a construct. Nothing is real. He was convicted of 34 crimes. He's got to go to jail in New York. Something. You can't just get rid of that. Motherfucker ran for president and won. But justice, fuck your justice. He ran for president and won. The American people said, fuck justice. Maybe we ought to revisit the entire way that we do justice in this country. I mean, that wouldn't be my first choice, but if we're judging from the people have spoken, democracy. You didn't count on the fucking people being idiots, did you? Nah, no, you didn't. Let the people decide. People aren't always going to think the way you think. You should count on everybody. Surely everyone thinks just like me. And now you're like, oh, where did all the morons come from? Oh, shut up. They're morons because they didn't vote the same way you did. Like I say, it's a hard truth. It's a hard reality, but especially like in Texas, if you are a liberal in Texas, if you are a progressive-minded person here in Texas, and you're clutching pearls about having daughters and how their bodies are, this and that, fucking move. And I hate to be so awful about it, but this state, the people of this state, have decided that they want to live a certain way. And if you don't match that, come on, man, there's a way to, and don't act like, well, this is just, dude, that's an easy one. That is an easy one. The world is filled with populations of people who were forced to fucking move because shit changed in the town they were living. It's happening today. Just look at people. We call them dirty immigrants and, terrorist migrants or whatever we call them in Europe. But that's can happen to anybody. And I'm sorry that, your daughter is not going to be seen, at least the way you visualize it, will not be seen or classified by the law at as high a rating, if you will, as maybe other states. But if that is a big concern of you, then move to a state where she is. And thank your fucking stars that you're not walking 50 miles with a goat and everything that you own on your back, because the reason that you have to move isn't that some other country rolled their tanks down your street. Okay? It could be worse. I get it. Oh, my daughter in Texas. Fucking move, man. I'm sorry. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. Everything in life sucks. You know what sucks? I'm fucking bald, man. I'm fucking bald. It's just genetically. Like, this shit just fucking happened to me. That sucks. That's my life. Get over it. You move on. Could be worse. You know what I got? I'm bald. You know what I didn't get? I didn't get like, I don't know, like a brain tumor when I was 15. How about that? See? We all have hardships. What's happening to people who feel like they have, no voice in this country anymore? It's not as bad as what other people have gone through, okay? Just toughen up. Just toughen up. How's that? All right, let's see here. Jeff Ballard making up words in the chat room like lawfare. Lawfare's a thing. No, it's called white collar fucking crime, you motherfucker. And people have been going to jail for that shit for years. You're just now categorizing it as something new. It's lawfare. No, it's not, dude. It's white collar crime. Fucking stop it. Shut up about stuff like that, Jeff. Shut up. You sound like you're fucking listening to goddamn WBAP here. Oh, you're not even in Texas. You sound like you're listening to some goddamn stupid right-wing radio station and then just repeating the shit those dummies are saying in my chat room. Lawfare. It's called white-collar crime, man. He did the shit. The conversation we should be having about it is, does it rise to the level of actually bringing charge? I'll have that conversation with you. But to make up shit, it's lawfare. It shouldn't have been brought. My friend's dad went to jail in the fucking 90s for something very similar. Should he have not gone to jail? Because he did. He did 3 years. We all just kind of fucking accepted it. But now, lawfare, not real, because it applies to the guy whose cock I suck. Thank you, Jeff. Every now and again, I require one of my friends in the chat room to, be the punching bag for me to rant. Yeah, that's true. James, Frankie in the chat room. I didn't mean to use WBAP. I love James. James Parker. He's on 20 Minutes over there at WBAP. I love him. He's my guy. He's like one of my best friends. I love them over there. I'm just saying, they're bought and paid for talk radio. 100% bought and paid for talk radio. This is not. Although, if you guys want to hear me talk about how handsome CC and how gorgeous Tiffany is, I'll give you that. That's the extent of our bought and paid for around here. I'll tell you how hot CC and Tiffany are, our two executive producers. All right, knock it off. What is it? Is Adam and Byron fighting? I mean, I know that I probably struck a few chords with Adam. It's time for us, this family. Strike a few chords. Let's talk. Let's chop it up. Let's get real. Let's go all Christian youth pastory. Lawfare! Where did Jeff go? I want to make sure that Jeff's okay. I'll go, sometimes I go hard. Sometimes I go a little hard. Lawfare. It's white collar crime, dude. It's real. Would you people please just stop acting, okay? You won. You won fair and square. Everybody's fine with, not everybody's fine with it. I mean, most normal people are fine with it. You won fair and square. It is unnecessary for you to keep saying shit like he was innocent. He wasn't. The issue is that nobody cares. See, nobody cares. Yeah, he did it. We're fine with it. Stop acting like he didn't do it, because this is when you drive us nuts. This is when we start to go, well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he knows something. Maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe when I read, fucking stop it. You know he did it. He committed white-collar crime. A lot of people do. The conversation is, what does it mean when the population casting ballots knows all of this and doesn't give a fuck? That's the conversation. It's not, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. 2020 was fixed. 2024 was beautiful. God, come on. You have no credibility when you talk like that. He's the president. He's president now. You got what you wanted. Stop fucking being mean to the blue-haired, weird lesbian girls. Stop it. Leave them alone. I know they're easy targets. Saying shit like lawfare. All right, let's keep going. What else do we need to talk about here? What else do we have? Immigration and inflation turned out to be the top categories that the American people turned out to vote for. Immigration and inflation. And again, you know, this is where the Democrats got it wrong. On the subject of inflation, the Democrats just kept telling people it's all in your head. Which, you know me, I've been tracking the inflation for 3 years. You know, just see any one of my numerous Dollar Tree rants over the last 4. I've been tracking the inflation. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. And that was an effective, or what they thought would be an effective campaign strategy. If you're worried about the economy, don't worry, because it's doing great. You can't do that. Meanwhile, Trump's out there going, did you see the price of eggs? See? They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And immigration, man. Immigration. Like all of the left man, how do I say this? Like, from the very beginning, the whole conversation concerning open borders and what was the policy of not necessarily Democratic administrations, because the Obama administration didn't really utilize any of these. These were all just sort of thought exercises circulating within the Democratic Party. Like people saying, well, here's what we should do with the borders. So there were a lot of these like lofty conversations about open borders and what the borders will look like over the next few years if they were managed by Democrats. And they just acted like it wasn't a big problem. And even though we don't have open borders to the extent that I think the average person hears that and thinks, well, that just means they all just come in. It's not that. Although we don't have that, what all of the liberals failed to understand was that the Latinos in this country themselves did not vote as a monolith on this issue, or necessarily, I mean, on any issue, but on this issue specifically. And that, you know, it's being called the close the door vote. The close the door vote might be the reason that Donald Trump won, because Mexican men, specifically Mexican men, not Latinos, they were breaking these down. Mexican men specifically voted for Trump. It's like they know who's coming or whatever it is, which is interesting. Interesting on a whole bunch of levels, not the least of which is anthropologically. Like, I'd like to know what that's about. And yet, you know, I hate to use the cliche, you got the white bleeding heart liberals who live in, you know, exclusively white gated communities. You know, they're fighting for the Mexican man so that, you know, we want to keep the borders. And the Mexican man himself is like, fuck you, lady. Are you crazy? So I don't know how to break that one down. Immigration and inflation were the top priorities. Supreme Court, Trump's election could assure a conservative Supreme Court majority for decades to come. You're going to pack the whole court. Got everything. Everything. Got everything. Got everything. MAGA got everything. Gave the keys to everything to MAGA. And now, there you go. I mean, there was all kinds of nuttiness in 2016, but that was because the House, right? The House was controlled by the Dems. They made some nutty shit go down. Not this time. All gas, no brakes, these people, man. There is nothing. Supreme Court, they got the House. Well, they don't have the House yet, exactly. But they will. They got the executive. They got the lower. They got the upper. Senate, House, executive, judiciary, gonna pack the court. Gonna pack the court with fucking 18-year-olds. Yeah! Get a whole bunch of those Nick Fuentes listeners. You get Nick Fuentes, put him on the Supreme Court. And you know why? Because his Senate will totally approve him. Oh, it's coming. It's going to be crazy. See, but this is only if you believe, as a lot of people believe, the pearl clutchers, that Trump is a demon and a bad man and all that. This is why I, again, am making the choice that I think this is going to be a legacy administration. I think now he's got 4 years of not worrying about re-election. He's got 4 years to figure out how are they going to build some statues for me. So that's my hope on this one. No, all gas, no brakes for those people. You know, if you're one of those people, here you go. You're up. You got the lower, you got the Senate, you got the House or you got the White House, and you're going to have the judiciary. You're going to stack the judiciary for decades. 20-year-old Supreme Court justices who think exactly the way MAGA wants them to think. That is what victory gets you. Ultimate victory. And that's what they got. They got that. All right, so that brings us to our next segment. This is the bulk segment of the day. I did the most work on this because I thought this was interesting, and it's on that subject. Subject being of a unified government. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that a beautiful sounding thing? A unified government. One party, total control, rules over everything. Not a very common thing, although not unheard of. It has occurred in this country a number of times. It occurred very briefly a couple of years back. You know, this is why the midterms always become so important. And I can promise you that the Dems are going to spend more money on these midterms in the next 2 years than any other election ever, because they've got to win one. They've got to win back the House, or they got to win back the Senate. They got to come hard in the midterms. They're not going to go a full 4 years with Trump having everything. How they going to be the good obstructionists that they're all pledging to be without any actual control of one of the three chambers? So unified government, according to data collected by the Office of the Historian and the Clerk of the House's Office of Art and Archives, the U.S. government has been unified 48 times since 1857, 23 times under Democrats and 25 times under Republicans. Throughout that time, the U.S. government was divided 38 times. That was in the time of, I don't know what this fucking means. This means that a majority of elected governments have been unified since the advent of the modern political party system. I don't think that's true. Well, maybe. But it certainly isn't the case recently, right? I mean, modern times, Having a unified government as the president has not been something we're used to. Between 2001 and 2007, Republicans controlled at certain points all three branches, while President George W. Bush occupied the White House. GOP control was interrupted between 2001 and 2003 as the Senate majority flipped to the Democrats. From 1961 to 1969, Democrats controlled all three branches. Vietnam, thank you, Democrats. People are always like, yeah, whenever the Republicans have control, they always screw everything up, and then the Dems have to come in and clean it. They always point to like, look at Clinton, look at Obama, look at Biden, that whole thing. What about Vietnam? What about Vietnam? The Democrats ran the U.S. government in the 1960s. You guys fucked up Vietnam. You act like that wasn't like a completely... From 61 to 69, the Democrats controlled all three branches. This during the administrations of Kennedy and Johnson. The 83rd Congress, 1953 to 1955, during the presidency of Eisenhower, saw the deaths of 9 senators. What? 9 senators died between 53 and 55? Oh my God. And then a whole bunch of these, like we're going back to like the Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover. The last year that one party controlled all three branches of the federal government was in 2007. That's the last time. That was when Republicans held the White House, both chambers of Congress, and a majority on the Supreme Court. Democrats or Republicans have controlled all three branches at various times and other points since 1929. So I guess they say the starting point is 1929. Okay, so there you have it. So it's not rare in so much as it's never happened. It happens, but it is rare in the modern times. So like we said, in modern times, Kennedys and Johnsons controlled everything between 61 and 69. And then George W. Bush, after 9/11, he had some control for a number of years, but that was interrupted by midterms. And now we've got it again, at least for 2 years. Wow. Unified government. Election ratings. Let's talk about this. Election night brought some big ratings. Actually, that's not true. I don't know why I said that. Programming, that's why. It's a stream of consciousness. And I just say whatever word is next. Ratings were not big. Television is dying. Nobody gives a shit about what's on TV. TV ratings on election night dropped sharply. Fox News led. Then came, hold on, let me see what it is. Where are the numbers? $42 million people watched the election results in 2024. 42 million in 2024. 56 million in 2020. All right, here we go. All right, Fox News was number one. Of course it was. Just look at the results. Fox News was number one. They had 10.32 million viewers watching in the primetime block. We're Central Time, so I'll call it 7 to 10, but most people know it as 8 to 11. 7 to 10, Fox News had 10.32 million viewers. Number two was, of course, because we are a divided nation, MSNBC. There you go. The station, the news station that exclusively carries water for a vast Republican industrial complex is number one. And then the news station that exclusively carries water for a vast Democratic and liberal Hollywood complex is number two. Number one, only catering to a certain kind of audience. Number two, only catering to the direct opposite of that audience. All right. That's where we are with how we get information. CNN was third, but like hardly anybody was watching that. No, I'm sorry. No, CNN wasn't third. No, ABC. ABC was third at 5.9 million. ABC had 5.9 million. Then CNN had ABC Fox was number 1 with 10.3 million. MSNBC was number 2 with 6.1 million. ABC was number 3 with 5.9 million. NBC, television network, was number 4 with 5.5 million. CNN, bringing up the rear, 5.1 million. See? That's what happens. When you stake your place in the middle, nobody gives a fuck because you're not saying outlandish, crazy, stupid things that's only steeped in the viewpoint of one political party. When you're CNN, you're just lame. You're just boring. You're just doing fucking straight up lame shit. Wolf Blitzer out there. Get rid of that guy. I don't know how that guy is still employed. All right, there you go. That's election night TV. What else are we looking at here? All right, so I got a question. Did a bunch of celebrating MAGA types, did they chase off Adam from our chat room? And there's other people that I can turn to here, but this is interesting because I know this is not the case with my friend of decades, Adam Reyna, but it certainly ain't the case apparently with the voting numbers that are coming out here. And the question is this. Latino men are taking a beating right now from the left, from liberals. Latino men are being pretty much singled out as the primary reason why Donald Trump won re-election. And one of the theories that is most popular and is being pushed by a Spanish language radio host who's apparently syndicated all across the country. He's got like millions and millions of listeners every day, and he's very popular. I don't know what his name is, but he was on one of the news channels. He's on Sky News. Yeah, I saw him on Sky News, and then I later saw him on CNN, but he was on Sky News too. He's sort of pushing this theory that Kamala Harris lost because Mexican men will never vote for a woman, because no group is as misogynist as Mexican men. They believe, and he says all this stuff. He's like, I talk to my listeners every day, and I had one guy that called in and he said, look, I'm sorry, and I was raised the way I was raised, and this is how I see it, but a woman belongs in the kitchen. The woman belongs making dinner for me and making sure that the kids are loved and nurtured and all of that, and then I go out and I fight the battles of the cruel and hard world. That is a traditional American way of thinking about the family unit. Traditional. And by traditional, that's 1950s. That means the way it used to be. I think that the rest of the country has moved to a different version of that. I think that that version, that Latino male idea of what a woman should be, I think that could work if it's what the woman wants, but if somehow the woman is being subjugated into that role because of cultural pressures or whatever, then you Mexicans got a problem. you guys got a problem, especially if you think the Mexicans are going to ever be a part of the liberal Democrat voting base again, because I don't think they are. I think America's Latinos have chosen a side, and I think the side is the one that is going to bring them as close to 1950 as possible. Our Mexican men naturally, just because of the culture and the way they're raised and what they see, are Mexican men just naturally misogynistic. And I guess the question goes further. More so, far more so than other people. Black men, turned out that black men did come out and vote for Kamala. Black men, they did. So if you're, all on the left and you're like, all the minority, you need to be angry. You need to be, the minority groups you need to be angry at. Mexican men. Mexican men did not support Kamala Harris. If you're a left person looking for people to blame. Black dudes did. Black dudes did pretty overwhelmingly. Gay dudes did too. Gay dudes. She got gay dudes. She got black guys. She didn't get white women. Oh, she got black women. She did real well with black women. Of course she did. She got no white people. She got like no white people. I mean, like, of course she did. She got some. She got wealthy California left-leaning liberals. That's who she got. Those are the white people she got. She didn't get one white person who punches a clock for a living. How's that? I'll put it that way. If you're a white person in this country and you show up to work every day and you got to go, you did not vote for. You did not vote for. She really got stumped. All right, let's see here. Adam, I asked him some questions. He says people are really grasping at straws on theories. He says most of them are wrong. Adam says definitely not the same since Mexican women work in higher numbers than white women. Things change. It is a higher honor culture for sure. So is black men in America. That's not why she lost the vote. Well, okay. So then tell me, Adam, why did Kamala Harris lose the Latino male vote so significantly? Like not even, it wasn't split. 83% of black men voted for her. But I think it was like 32, and that might be being generous, Latino men. So, people are looking, not me. I'm not looking for anybody to blame. I'm good with it. I'm not good with it. I would have been good with whatever happened. I told you that for the last couple of years. I haven't taken a side, and it's not because I'm gutless. It's because I think they're all fucking con men. That's all. Legal weed. Legal weed is another big story. Legal weed has failed. We covered this yesterday. Failed just about everywhere. It says trio of ballot failures lead marijuana backers to refocus their effort for recreational weed. Here's what's going to happen. There is a fucking gold rush that will happen economically in this country if all of a sudden recreational marijuana is legalized at the federal level. I believe that both of the people who were running, both of our choices, Kamala said that she would legalize weed. Maybe that's why she got all the black dudes. Hey, Sister Kamala, the brothers heard you, and they turned out in droves. Trump's going to do the same thing. Trump's going to legalize marijuana. It's going to create an economic gold rush all across this country. It's going to be done at the federal level so that provides some form of indemnity for local politicians who have to deal with angry church groups. Well, it wasn't mine. It was the federal level. And look, Trump's God. He can kill somebody. He can shoot a guy in the face on Fifth Avenue. Y'all still vote for him. So that's how that's going to go. But I believe that marijuana will be legalized at the federal level probably in the first 100 days. I think it's going to be real quick. Because there's just too much money. There's just too much money to be made. And like I told you about the legalized hemp laws, how confoundingly absurd they are and how they make zero sense. Yeah, they're just going to, we don't need to have that anymore. They'll just legalize it at the federal level. People will be able to use banks, all of that stuff. All right. And of course, in Dallas, you can now have 4 ounces. You can now have 4 ounces of personal weed, and it's not criminal. It's a decriminalized possession of 4 ounces or less. And again, I point out, this is to help drug dealers. This is to help this is to help the guy on the corner. If there's a dude slinging bags on the corner, he can now have like 5. Well, what is it? So 4 ounces, 4 times 4, 16. He can now have like 16 quarter bags on him. He can now have 16 quarter bags as he stands on the corner and not get arrested. So there you go. And then when he runs low on that, he walks across the street into the house. He gets 16 more quarter bags and he stands out there. Make no mistake. I love the rule because I think it should be legalized across the board. But make no mistake, this made it on the ballot in Dallas because some drug dealers paid off some local congressmen or councilmen in order to make this an issue. The chief of police was against it. The chief of police was like, you guys, here's what's happening. Do you know what 4 ounces is? 4 ounces is what dealers would have on them if they were slinging bags on a corner. What do you mean we can't arrest them anymore? And, here we are. All right, let's see. What else do we have on today's show? Not a whole lot more. Oh, here we go. We're gonna end the show with this. Going just a little bit late here today. I got stuff I got to do. I got people to talk to. Guys, Raygun has retired. Did you see this? Raygun. You know who Raygun is? Raygun is the Australian breakdancer. Remember her from the Olympics? Oh, she was awesome. She influenced 1 million people's Halloween costumes. Whole bunch of people out there dressed as Raygun. One of the houses that I walk my dog by, they had a skeleton Raygun. It was a skeleton, and it was wearing the Australian breakdance team uniform, and it was doing a breakdance thing. Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, Raygun, she's been destroyed. She's been completely destroyed and psychologically and emotionally ruined by the events of the past couple of months. So she tearfully is just going to she's telling the world to leave me alone, and I'm going to retire. So yeah, that's pretty sad if you know her. She's probably, but it was fun though, right? It was fun, making fun of her and her stupid kangaroo hop and whatever. I mean, she's broken. Don't get me wrong. She's broken. She'll never be able to raise children properly. I mean, she's been through humiliation at the global level that very few people come back from. So, but anyway, controversial Australian Olympic breakdancer Rachel Gunn is retiring from competition. Not because she wants to, because she can't. Australian breaker Rachel Gunn has told a Sydney radio station that she plans to retire from competition just 3 months after her unconventional routine at the Paris Olympics led to her being ridiculed and spawned conspiracy theories about how she qualified for the games in the first place. The now 37-year-old Sydney University lecturer failed to get on the scoreboard in all 3 of her competition rounds with a routine that included unorthodox moves such as the kangaroo hop. Yes, I remember the Bed-Stuy projects is where we first saw the kangaroo hop emerged from the streets of New York in 1981. No, of course not. So that's stupid shit like that. Kangaroo hops don't belong in breaking. First of all, she's an Australian white woman doing oh God, the chips were stacked against her from the beginning. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. It's probably something I said in 1983. Only black people should be allowed to break dance. Only black people and maybe some people of color, maybe some of our Latino friends. They're the only people who should be, okay, hot white girls. If you're a hot white girl and you can break dance, I'll allow it. No white dudes are allowed to break dance. White dudes or average looking white girls. Nope. Hot. I once saw a bikini breakdance team. I saw it. It was in the early 90s, and it was a bunch of hot chicks in bikinis doing breakdance routines, and I thought, I could market this. I was only 20 at the time, but anyway. So yeah, let's just do that. No white people ever again. All right, here's what you got to be. You got to be Latino, Asian. There were some good Asian breakdancers back in the day. You got to be Latino. You got to be Asian. I just had a great Asian joke. Oh, it was great. If Kamala had won, I absolutely wouldn't tell the joke. But Trump won, so I was really close to telling the joke. It has to do with why Asians are so good at breakdancing. All right, if you're psychic, why are Asians so good at breakdancing? All right, there you go. All right, flat faces. They got flat faces is what I was saying. Asian, there's a flat face thing. That's why they're good at breakdancing. You made me go there. I don't care. See, because Trump won. Fuck it. There are no rules. Asians. What Asian group is going to get mad at me? I'm a streamer. I'm a streamer with like a handful of good friends. We hang out every day. Maybe if I had 1 million people, I couldn't tell that joke, but I can tell that joke now. All right, so that's it. Asians, Latinos, hot white girls in bikinis, and black dudes. The only people who I'm going to allow to breakdance. Rachel Gunn had initially planned to keep competing in the world of breakdancing, but said the experience has been so upsetting that she's decided to give it up completely. I just didn't have any control over how people saw me or who I was. It's called fame. That's fame. You went to the Olympics. Well, what did you think was going to happen? You're doing bunny hops. You took, first of all, you're an Australian, awkward, weird chick, white chick from Australia doing breakdancing. And it's the first time breakdancing has been in the Olympics. Don't you think people would be interested to check it out? You know, and then they see you doing your bunny hop and you cannot, or kangaroo hop, and you can't understand why that got you so much attention. Oh, stop it, Rachel. Being overly dramatic. Here's what you need to do. You need to lean into this fucking shit. You should be doing nothing but interviews. You should be touring clubs, putting on breakdance. Do you know how much you could make for clubs in all across this country? You would go to a club if this Saturday night in Deep Ellum, Club so-and-so presents Break-In with Rachel Reagan. You would go, and you would go. She could be cashing them checks, man, but instead, she's going to be a white chick. She's going to be a Karen. And she's going to be like, people are making fun of me, and I just can't even go outside the house. Fuck you. Lean into it, baby. There is money to be made. You are Rachel Reagan. And I don't even know how much time she's got left, because she's going to be an afterthought in 2 years. Like in 2 years, we'll be like, hey, remember that chick that did the break? Totally forget. She's got to do it now. Come on, let's get a tour together. Let's get Hawk to a girl. We'll get Hawk to a girl. We'll get Ray Gunn, the breakdancing chick. We'll get Tim Waltz. He's going to be looking for shit to do. We got Tim Waltz. That's it, man. Let's go on tour. Hawk to a girl. We'll just, be sassy on mic. Tim Waltz will come out on, and we're not going to have him do politics. So he'll just like explain his favorite defense formations, on camera. He'll just like, and then, the reason I like zone coverage, he'll do that. And then the whole show, the whole night ends with Reagan doing a breakdancing thing. More money, more money, more money, more money. Come on, people. Fucking, why can't I have a super rich friend who hears my ideas and goes, you know what? Let's do it. We'll get a tractor trailer and we'll go across this country and we'll put on shows with Rachel Reagan, Hawk Tua, and Tim Waltz. Let's go. Dude, it's fucking 1988 all over again. America is on the verge of being super fun or destroyed in a nuclear holocaust by our enemies. I don't know. It's the late 80s again, baby. Let's go. That is very much how I feel. I very much feel like it's the late 80s again. And we are in that same spot where we were in 1988. Now, back then, shit worked out because, our enemies collapsed. The Soviet Union collapsed, and it was all right. But there was a time, dude, in 1988, 1989, Wall Street is cranking. Everybody's making money. Cocaine is everywhere. Sure, AIDS kind of shut the party down a little bit. But now with the right people, they were still... And it was this complete let's go for it right now kind of ideology because we all knew we were getting close to something being resolved between us and the Soviet Union. That was 1988. And that's how this feels again. It does. Feels this way. And I got a feeling I know how it's going to start. And I'm all for it, by the way. I'm all for it. Oh, you're all for World War? No, I'm not all for any sort of nuclear catastrophe. But, whereas I don't consider myself a hawk, but I would like I would like at some point to use some of these fucking things that I've paid for my entire adult life in the field of combat. And as long as we're going to do that, there are a whole bunch of people in this world who I would like to see a bunch of our shit tested on. So, and I think that's something that's going to be a very real prospect. I think we're going to war. Or I think, look, we've been on the precipice of World War III for months and months and months. The reason that it hasn't completely gone nuts is because there's been a lot of really hard work for some people with a certain foreign policy to sort of keep things the status quo. Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want things kept the status quo. Anthony Blinken and the Biden administration has been able to keep a muzzle on him, and he doesn't like it. Netanyahu and Trump are much better friends. Netanyahu and Trump, and I don't know that Trump is going to have the same sort of limitations, demands on Netanyahu. Netanyahu, make no mistake, Benjamin Netanyahu right now at this moment wants regime change in Iran. That's what he wants. Regime change. The Biden administration and, Blinken and all the negotiations that have been going on since October the 7th and all of those things that happened, that's been a non-starter. That's not, nobody that has sat across a table from Benjamin Netanyahu, who's on his side, trying to figure out how to work this deal out with Iran, nobody in there has ever said that they would even have a conversation about regime change. It was off the table. That is not off the table now with Trump. Regime change in Iran is on the table. Netanyahu wants it badly. And so do I. Absolutely. Since 1980, we've needed regime change in Iran. And for some reason, one American administration after another has just coddled these people. Iran is the place. It is the epicenter for all of the troubles that we see in the region, whether we're talking about Houthis in Yemen or we're talking about, these bands of Hezbollah bullshit artists who are just firing fucking Scud Molotov cocktails into the suburbs of Israel. They all find their origins with Iran. Iran is the state, the radical Islamic state that funds all of the groups that do terrorism throughout the region. The rest of the countries, my God, you guys, we can work with all of them. All of the countries there in 2024 are willing to at least sit down at a table and secretly in Mayorkas with, people from Israel. You got the Saudi prince and someone from Israel. I mean, they are willing to work with each other. Not Iran. Iran has historically been the fucking problem. So yeah, I'm all for regime change in Iran. If Benjamin Netanyahu decides it's time to do it, and he goes in and he sends the full force of the Israeli military into Iran with the ultimate goal of regime change, he will need to be backed up by United States intelligence, United States logistics, United States Navy has got to be all over there. And I think that Trump will do it. And I am telling you, and I am not a hawk. Remember, I'm the guy that actually lost advertisers because I did not believe in the first war in Iraq. I didn't. This is different. This is Iran. This is the motherfucker who is, he's the reason, Iran, like it's a dude. It's the reason that there has been such consistent instability in the region since 1980. Iran used to be a really cool place. I mean, it was rough if you were born poor in Iran back then because it was essentially a monarchical dictatorship under the Shah. But What I mean is they weren't causing unrest all over the region in the way that they are now. None of the other governments, established governments, modern governments in the region are going to openly go on and tell their people, we think Israel should be wiped from the face of the earth. That's only Iran now. It's only Iran. Saudi Arabia understands how to play ball. Jordan knows how to play ball. Egypt knows how to play ball. After years of trouble, Egypt knows how to play ball. So, I don't know. It's a good war. It's a good war. Look at that. We got a new, what is this screensaver? I saw that it changed over. That thing is cool, huh? I kind of like that one. All right. A lot of things come. Pugs, why do you like war? I don't like war. And besides, it's 2024. I don't think we're actually going to kill any people. I think, well, I mean, we're going to kill them, but I don't think any of our people. We're going to, you know who's, we'll have casualties, and it will be like our best super trained super soldiers that we send. Everything else is robots, folks. Elon is going to be put in charge of the military. You don't think that we're going to have a Star Wars clone army by 4th of July? You're goddamn right we are. You know what else we're going to get? Put a pin in it. Remember the thing that Trump wanted last time that he didn't get? Remember Trump wanted his big super military 4th of July parade? Woohoo! We are going to have that this year. I bet you this 4th of July, Washington, D.C., the mall. It's just going to be like one of those Mayday Soviet parades from like that. But it's going to be cooler. It's going to be better because Kid Rock's going to perform. Elon's going to unveil his clone army. White. They're all going to, of course they're white. They're all going to be marching right down there. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, man. All gas, no brakes, no seatbelts, pussy. Let's go. This is America in 2024. Big thank you to Cece and Tiffany. I appreciate it. Cece and Tiffany got us through it. Got us through. They got us over the top. We made it through Pledge Week. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. Thank you. You know who you are. All right, that's going to do it, guys. We are out of show. I appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll end the week out strong. Hope you enjoyed today's offering. I sure did. Here's a reminder. Check out RadioMisfits.com. All the coolest podcasts. Are you listening to the SNL one yet? Nick DiGilio's This Show Hadn't Been Funny in Years. I love that podcast. Podcast of the year. Nick's a cool guy. Nick DiGilio is a longtime Chicago nighttime talk radio host. And Nick DiGilio, who hosts on the RadioMisfits.com, who hosts the podcast there, he holds a very, very important place in the history of me and my partner, Kelly. Kelly and I used to do our first show that we did in Chicago was an evening show, 6 to 10 on one station. And when our show would end at 10 o'clock at night, Kelly and I would race home. She lived in the far north suburbs and I lived on the south side. But we would jump in our cars and we would have a contest, Kelly and myself, who could be the first caller to get on the air with Nick DiGilio, because Nick DiGilio was on a different station. And he came on at 10 o'clock. So, and he took calls. And Kelly and I, of course, being talk show hosts who take calls ourselves, we kind of knew what the producers want to hear. We can get past a producer. I can get screened. I can get put on any radio show in America. You just tell me what the topic is. I'll get on first. Oh man, I know what they want. Anyway. So yeah, so Kelly and I used to we used to compete against each other. Like I'd be driving, I'm on hold, right? I know that she's on a different highway miles away, and I know that she's on hold too. I'm on hold. And then it goes, all right, let's go up to the north suburbs and let's say hi to Tina. Tina, you're on with Nick DiGilio. And I'd be like, yeah, it wasn't her. And then, of course, we'd hang up. Like the first, like if I heard her, like if I'm on hold and it's like, all right, let's go to Kelly driving on her, and it'll be her, and she would be a great caller. And I would just hang up. I'm like, that's it. That's all it was. It was just to see who could win. And we weren't assholes. Like we wouldn't be like, don't listen to this station. Listen to our station. Blah, blah, blah. But we wouldn't do that. We like Nick. We liked the show. This was a bit between the two of us. We were just, and our listeners, because we would always tell our listeners. We would say, we actually got in trouble for it. She got in trouble for it. The bit she wanted to do was she mentioned, she told the listeners that they should go. She told the listeners about this bit. And Reed Reeker, the great Reed Reeker, was like, do you really think it's a good idea to be signing off and then telling people to go listen to another station? And her thinking was, well, it's just like brokered satellite programming after us. We're the last live show of the day. So, but whatever. Anyway, Nick DiGilio now does a show. This show hasn't been funny in years. It's a podcast over there on radiomisfits.com, and it's a delight because Nick's a delight. Nick's a fun guy. All right. I love you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow at noon. You're the best. We made it this month, and it's because of you, and I'm happy. And America is going to be fine. Probably. I don't know. I wouldn't know either way. You know, if we're sitting here and it's Harris, I would say the same thing. Like, America's going to be fine. Probably. I don't know. Beat goes on. All right. I love you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Pugs Moran, radiomisfits.com.